How you doing, Mark? You all right, mate?
Oh, yeah, Russell. Yeah, good to talk to you.
Brilliant. How you been keeping? All right.
Yeah, not too bad. Been a little bit busy trying to stay out of this rain and wind. How you been?
Been all right, mate. I've been all right.
I
How's
saw you went for a run, didn't you? You was running at the crack of dawn this morning. Got all the
yeah?
all the waterproofs on, everything. Yeah, you sent
Gotta
me
go
that
for a
video.
run. No,
Fair
you go for a
play.
run yourself now.
So again,
You go for a run yourself much?
I do. Yeah, I love a good run. I do, but I don't run far. I run about 3 miles. I haven't ran for about a week, but I do try and run at least every week. I
Yeah,
find it like it flushes everything out here and kind of makes me brighter.
yeah, yeah. Good.
Do
How's
like it.
human nutrients doing? All right.
Doing really well. Yeah, yeah. No, it's all the discoveries that I keep. Obviously, I task AI to scrape the web and come back with stuff, and it's kind of blown me away. Like while I've been on it, it's been we're talking NMN and resveratrol, this stuff.
Yeah,
While I've been on it, I've shed like weight, like this excess middle-aged spread that I couldn't get rid of. Turns out that NAD is crucial. It doesn't matter what fat burner you take,
yeah,
it's NAD that actually breaks down the fatty acids in the cell and shifts them over to the mitochondria to be burnt as energy. And without high NAD levels, that fat burning process just slows right down. It kind of explains as you lose NAD as you age, you actually gain that middle age spread. Explains why it doesn't stick to the youngsters so much, the fat.
good. I want to talk to you about 9/11, Mark, and what you think
Oof.
about it all, because it's like we're into the 25th year now since it happened, and
Yeah.
nobody's
Have you
been.
noticed how it's kind of got brushed under the carpet? It's
Yeah,
not like an anniversary anymore. The media try and stay away from it on nine
yeah,
eleven day, but just 9/11 itself, the 11th of September, I always think about it. And I remember when I first heard it, I was driving in London. A friend called me. He said, "Turn on the radio." I pulled over in a petrol station. I put the radio on, and obviously it was like, broadcast everywhere. And
yeah,
I think that's where the world started to really change. All these things that they brought in to try and help us, like with the IRA and everything. The Ring of Steel and all these things, and all the cameras everywhere. I felt that was the point where they started to point the cameras at us and use the defences that they put in place as anti-terror almost against us, against the population, extra surveillance
yeah. It's what where I have a
and where
problem.
we are
Right?
today.
Yeah, where I have a problem today. Can you hear me? Yeah, can you
Yeah,
hear me,
yeah.
Mark? Yeah, yeah. Where
I
I have
can indeed. Yeah, I can hear.
where I have a problem with it is
No, I'm
Larry
struggling
Silver.
to hear you now. Yeah,
Can you hear me now?
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Where
I
I, can
can. Yeah.
you hear me now? Yeah.
Yes.
Where I have a problem, Mark, is Larry Silverstein. He took an insurance policy out, didn't he, for well over 1 billion a couple of months before. And nobody seems to pick
Okay.
up on that, do they, really? Or the Tower 7 getting pulled when the BBC were got confused with something with that, didn't they? Do you remember?
That's right. Yeah, I actually saw the footage of that, and some woman actually reporting on from the BBC reporting on it 30 minutes earlier, and the building still stood in the background.
Yeah.
Now that's crazy. That is apparently that building 7 housed all the financial records for the CIA, and
Yeah.
there's people out there that they were calling them conspiracy theorists, but over the years you add everything up, and I don't know whether it's a theory or a fact, but that building got blown up, and so did all the records of the funding, and there's huge black holes, as we now know from where we had that Doge with Elon Musk and his team of hackers. And I think what is it, the Pentagon, they've never made a budget, ever. So all of that military industrial complex and the CIA and all of them lot, yeah, they're funding what they like, and I suppose any records, had to be destroyed, and that's what they say. So yeah, it's how can I put it? That's the deep, without a shadow of doubt in my mind, that was some kind of deep state work, because I've seen footage of where a plane crashed into, I think it might have been the Empire State Building, in the 1930s, and he literally bounced off the side and just slid down it and was wreckage at the bottom. And I know that those propeller planes don't fly as quick, but there's no way an aluminium plane is going to slice through steel like that. And I've also seen a lot of pictures of, steel beams cut at 45-degree angles, exactly how a demolition team goes in and, cuts buildings, places charges, and all they got to do is throw that beam off that line, and the building collapses fairly straight. And as we saw, that come down like a demolition in the middle of Manhattan.
Yeah,
A
plane,
controlled,
the
a
plane you're on about.
controlled explosion that was.
Yeah, the plane that you're on
Say
about.
that again.
It was a controlled explosion that I believe, but the plane you're on about were 1945, July 28th. It was a B-25 Mitchell bomber, and it hit the Empire State Building, and nothing happened.
Okay. Nothing happened. It slid down the side, side of it. Yeah, the B-52 bomber. It's got a bit of weight to it, like a hefty kind of plane. But no, and around the globe as well, there's been like, plane strikes on buildings, and nothing like that's ever happened. It's going to be the plane that would they'll just disintegrate. Probably wouldn't make it through the fascia, let alone like, right through the all the steel beams.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, there was a bit of mess with that bomber hitting it, but it weren't, the buildings didn't come down like the Twin Towers, and I just think the public need answers to this. 3,000 people dead, 59 billion pound. Sorry, 59 billion. The insurance companies paid out 59 billion.
Wow.
I mean, that's crazy,
Wow.
isn't it, that?
That's crazy, isn't it? Jesus Christ.
It's that.
Another thing as well is the Bin Laden family, Osama bin Laden and all them. Apparently there was planes flying out when there was no-fly zones going on and all sorts with, extended members of that family. And it's been all over it was in the news. Like I've seen YouTubers talk about it a good many years back, and there was all sorts of shenanigans going on. You know. There was another thing in Epstein Island. There's a picture that emerged of George Bush sitting on the Oval Office floor, throwing a paper aeroplane and two twin towers made out of those Jenga sticks. The game where you pull a stick, one of those blocks out, and you pull too many blocks out and the tower falls. There was two Jenga towers, that looked like the Twin Towers, and a painting of Bush throwing a paper plane on Epstein Island. Things like that. It's almost, the breadcrumbs, taking a mickey out of us.
Getting back to the claim, it says here, I'll just read this out to you. The 9/11 attacks cost the US insurance industry an estimated $59 billion, making it the most expensive terrorist incident ever and one of the largest single insured loss events in history, covering property, business interruption, workers' compensation, life, health, and airline liability. A key dispute arose between developer Larry Silverstein and his insurers over whether the two attacks on the World Trade Center towers counted as one or two occurrences, leading to a court determined payout of 4.55 billion for Larry. The massive losses led insurers to cut back or stop offering terrorism coverage, prompting the US government to create the Terrorist Risk Insurance Act, TRIA, to provide a backdrop for the industry and make terrorism insurance affordable. So, wow, they're taking
Wow.
policy money off people who are insured against terrorists. It's crazy, isn't it?
Absolutely. That is crazy. Yeah. Um, the whole thing, um, was a bit, it was. I think the world changed at that point. Yeah, then obviously they used that as excuses to bring in all different types of surveillance and money laundering things, or funding terrorism. And yeah, the world started to change at that point. The restrictions started to appear, and I think 9/11 was was the moment it really started in my mind anyway.
What did you think of the actual to watch it on TV? Did it take your mind away? You know, and just watching the towers, it's thinking, what's going on here?
Well, it was just it was such a spectacle, wasn't it? And it was all over the globe, and the media pushed it as a spectacle, and it really was. But obviously, looking at that building seven, it was we can see how staged it was. But there was something else, wasn't there? There was a plane that was meant to have hit the Pentagon as well, and it turned out it was like half a missile and all sorts. So they really went to town. Right, what do we need to get rid of here? Right, this is our opportunity. And I think it was definitely a globalist staged event.
Do you know the Pentagon one? What bothers me about that? The one, not one camera picked up that plane going into Pentagon, did they? In all the surveillance in the area, do you know?
Well, yeah, they looked at the footage and there is a photo somewhere floating about on the internet. And when you look at it, it doesn't look like a plane. It looks like a body of some kind of rocket sticking out the side of the building that didn't fully go off. So yeah, that was iffy. And then we've got all these fighter jets steaming about and meant to be able to scramble in 30 seconds and protect New York and everything. And how do all these planes get through? So
Well, when I
and,
was
yeah, and obviously they are commercial jets, but when they obviously started to go off path and this and that, and not answer communications, and it wouldn't take too long for the flight control center to start to realise something's wrong and scramble the jets or whatever.
yeah, I was
Same with the
watching that.
Pentagon. You'd have thought they'd have spotted something headed towards the Pentagon,
I watched
or
that.
you'd hope they would.
What amazed me about that is when the call went through, he said, "Is this real life or a training exercise?" Didn't he? Fighter pilot. They didn't even know what was.
And they reckon those jihadis running around America going to flight training schools and having a bash at flying a single engine Cessna and then able to fly like four engine planes or two engine commercial jets. That's a big jump.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, I think it was a little more. It was very much staged.
Yeah, I think it was staged, but I just wanted to get your thoughts on it. And okie doke. But nice to have you on, Mark.
It's good talking to you, Russell. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Um, I'm just trying to think what else about 9/11. But I do notice now that, that obviously there was ground zero and that was going on. It lasted about 10 years where there was like an anniversary to it every year. And I just thought I'd remembered it a little bit longer. But yeah, it's definitely got brushed under the carpet by the media,
yeah,
you
and
know.
what I
And
find
I
amazing.
think that was the watershed moment as well, whatever started, to actually for us to actually like hear about jihad and that there's Muslims out there that want to destroy our way of life and all that. Because up to that point, I've never heard that, absolutely never heard that. And obviously now, like you do hear quite hear that narrative quite a lot.
Yeah, the guys who were on the plane, because there were four planes, weren't there? There were Pentagon, the two tower ones, and there was one that ended up in a field, wasn't there?
Okay, I didn't know about the field one.
Yeah, that were what
Is that what happened?
that
One
were a
what
hijacked.
crashed somewhere else?
I'm just reading it here now, and
Okay.
the people on the plane tried to storm the cockpit.
Yes.
Let me just get it up
I
here.
know that they started to bring about flight marshals, didn't they, after that for a while, where they were putting, an armed marshal on a plane.
Well, it's a bad deal, but do you know America? In my opinion, they're upset knackers in it with this. It's all about oil and stuff in it. In my opinion, I don't know. I just want
Yes.
your thoughts were on that.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I do. Yeah. Yeah. I think definitely. And what was we were told? We were told. Yeah, we were basically told it was jihadists and the Osama bin Laden family. And then when they went and captured Osama bin Laden and they dumped the body at sea, didn't they? So we never got to see the body. But apparently
It's
they
a bit
dumped it at
dodgy,
sea.
Mark, as
The
well.
reason being is they were saying they didn't want to make it some kind of mecca or shrine to other jihadists. So yeah, they dumped his body at sea. They made a film, they put it up on Netflix and all this, that, and the other. But we don't know the truth.
Well, we're never going to get to know, are we?
We're never going to get the truth. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? But all right then, mate. Well, listen, it's been great having you on,
Been good talking to you, Russell.
and we'll cover some next week. All right, lad.
Fantastic. Yeah, lovely. Yeah, that's that brilliant. Yeah, look, good talking to you tonight.
All right then, mate.
Uh,
Listen, you take care, Mark.
Take care. See you
Cheers, mate.
soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, that was Mark from Human Nutrients, the CEO. Good to catch up with him regarding 9/11. It's always something that's stuck in my mind, 9/11. The bullshit around it, insurance claims and taking out a bigger policy, right? Larry Silverstein, you know, it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Larry Silverstein taking out that extra policy and buildings being blown up and stuff like that, controlled demolition and all that. I just don't think that they've been right with the people. But hey ho, all right. So thanks for liking and subscribing and leaving a comment. One, peace out.